Hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing swell, Bob. How are you this hot, humid, post-smoggy day?
It rained here. I don't know if it's rained up there yet. I don't know if you've
Oh,
gotten it, but
yeah, we got a lot of it in a couple
I don't
hours.
know. I don't know if it's been. I haven't looked outside yet, so I don't know if it's any better. But welcome everybody to the Pop Culture SquadCast Live. It is Tuesday night, and we are here. It is if it's Tuesday, we're going to be here. Thank you for being here, and we're looking forward to having a great show tonight. We have a guest who's going to be his first time on the SquadCast Live. He has previously been on a recorded SquadCast several years ago now, and I'm glad to have him on the show. We're going to talk about his new book from Image that's coming out in September, Crimes Against Nature. We're going to have Eliot Rahal join us in a little bit. Before we get to that, let's talk about a couple of things that are going on in the news. And I'm gonna start with, I think, the biggest kind of news out there, which is film and TV news. And I'm going to read from this is from NPR. In a ruling, the U.S. District Judge Araceli Martinez Oliguin granted a 14-day temporary restraining order to pause the acquisition of Warner Brothers Discovery by Paramount, Skydance. The Democratic attorneys general allege that the Paramount's purchase of Warner Brothers would reduce competition, hurting filmgoers along with TV and news consumers, and especially those who create entertainment programming and the news content that the public relies on. The $111 billion deal would put under the same corporate roof Paramount's and Warner's movie and television studios, streamers Paramount Plus and HBO Max, Paramount CBS, the nation's most watched broadcast outlet, and 50 cable and TV channels, not to mention both CBS News and CNN. California Attorney General Rob Bonta said in a statement, "This is a critical first win in our case to ensure that this mega merger never sees the light of day."
Yeah, that would be nice. I hope that's what happens. I am skeptical, but I can see this one being stopped. I think there's a possibility of it here. Yes, I'm disheartened. The CBS part is horrible. I mean, it's not that I was a huge consumer lately of CBS News, but I had been throughout my life and had a lot of friends who worked there. And what's happened to CBS News is just atrocious. I'd hate to see that happen with CNN, which I did not value as highly as I valued CBS News at one point. Yes. In terms of cutting down on who gets to produce what and who gets to star in what, the industry has no idea what it's doing, nor does anybody else, and nor is there any way to know what's going on. We don't know how many streamers are going to be left, or are going to be ignored, or are going to go down the tubes, or are going to merge. We know that there are too many now and people don't want to spend all that money. We also know that the broadcast industry is coughing up massive amounts of blood.
Sure.
Massive amounts of blood. So, I mean, the one shred of truth in the firing of Stephen Colbert, he wasn't fired because the show was losing money, but late night is no longer a good source of huge income. It's not possible because they can't get the audience percentages they used to, because they've lost so much to streaming and to the internet, and they've lost so much to malpractice, I think.
I mean, yeah, it's an interesting. It's a really interesting thought exercise. Not so much that is the case, because I agree with you, but the why and the how. Just if we take late night television was in my youth and yours as well, a huge profit situation, because you could have this fairly low output produced show, and just get people to watch it, because they would watch the news and then they'd still be sitting there, right, and just go right into the late night show. And
Yeah,
the lack of broadcast news and quality, and people want to watch broadcast news to get their news from the television, is a huge factor in how people watch that going forward.
Well, yes, and it also has a lot to do with boredom. I mean, you'll watch a late night show, a talk show. Back in those days, there was just the Tonight Show and a bunch of, like Bill Dana failed and so many others. But your alternatives were the Late Show, which was not, David Letterman or Stephen Colbert. It was the 400th rerun of a John Wayne movie that was cut to hell. Even if you liked it, you couldn't watch it. There was like fifth generation reruns of old sitcoms that you got bored with when they were being rerun in late afternoon. So, of course, a program like The Tonight Show was going to capture a huge percentage of the audience. And, of course, you could charge what you want, because even back when The Tonight Show was an hour and 45 minutes every day, 5 days a week, it still made a lot of money. Those days are gone. Nothing like that exists in broadcast today. Nothing like that is likely to exist, because we've dropped from broadcasting to narrowcasting, which I like, I support. More people are watching a wider variety of things and getting more of what they want, and I think that's really cool. The options are far greater. But the fact of the matter is that if the fascists that own CBS now and are trying desperately to close the deal on Warner Brothers, the only way they can make money off of those two is to merge the two streaming operations, which they will do, and then slowly upprice the combined package from wherever it started to a lot more, while cutting budgets, cutting shows left and right. You want to know why why there are no new Star Trek shows in development? Because Star Trek is a very expensive show to produce, and they don't have the cash flow, or they don't want to use the cash flow. Instead, they're making the mistake that the old guys at Paramount for the last 4 generations of ownership have made constantly, which is, oh, no, this is Star Wars, not Star Trek. We're going to make movies.
Well, I don't feel like we can go any much further without just getting into a huge debate about the ungodly, obscene amount of wealth that people have, and their unwillingness to spend it. So let's move on a little bit.
Well, no, let me make one more comment.
Okay. We're going to talk about another horrible giant corporation in about a second.
Okay. The problem here is that our government wants to control what we hear and what we know, and wants to prevent us.
I thought laissez-faire capitalism.
This is not
get the government out of the businesses.
This is not a capitalist society. We call it capitalism because we painted communism as this horrible force because the Soviets screwed it up. I'm not sure anybody could not screw it up, because it wasn't meant for big cities and for urbanized environments. When Marx and Engels wrote it, it was pretty much for farm communities.
Sure.
It has nothing to do with what anybody is up to today, or has been for a million years. But everybody thinks, oh my God, they're going to kill everybody who believes in God. So in God we trust. Fuck the commies. And socialism is just another word for communism, which is complete bullshit. And democratic socialists, that's a redundancy. Well, it's not. It's not a redundancy. We are a socialist nation in part, much more so, and yes, in much more so than we are a capitalist nation. And if people just take their fingers out of the goddamn pie, and they'd rather die than do that, I think the system that we have now would actually work with a few adjustments to keep the playing field level. Now I'm done.
Now you're done. All right. I'm not going to disagree on any of that. We are going to change topics. So we have a guest. He's going to be in shortly. We're going to get to him very, very shortly. Eliot Rahal is going to be here. We're going to talk about his new comic, and the fact that just before we even get to that, when Eliot said, hey, would you like to have me on the show? And I said, you have a comic coming out with gorillas in it. Mike will be very excited about this. Therefore, we must have you on the show. So we're going to get to Eliot in just a minute. But there's one more bit of news that we need to talk to. On the eve of San Diego Comic-Con, which everybody's getting there today and tomorrow. It starts tomorrow, and it's going to be 5 days of chaos. We'll wrap it up next week. Maybe we'll see if we can grab Ed and get him on this show and talk about that. But there's some other comic news. On the eve of that, Marvel decided to say, hey, we're going to shake everything up and we're going to move everybody 3,000 miles from their home. If you didn't hear the news, Marvel Comics is moving their offices from New York City to Burbank to be closer to Disney's headquarters. They have also reassigned or made some changes at the editor-in-chief level. CB Cebulski is leaving that position. He's going to stay with Marvel. He's going to focus on a different project, part of Marvel Publishing in their Asia market. So he's moving to Japan. My understanding is.
So if all you are doing, Marvel employee, is moving from New York to California, think about CB.
Well, this was he said, "Can I move to Japan?" His wife is Japanese. He would like to live in Japan.
I understand.
The people who live paycheck to paycheck and work for Marvel and now have to figure out how to keep their job and move 3,000 miles away is a little bit of a different story. But besides leaving, they're bringing back Stephen Wacker, who is a longtime Marvel editor, to be the editor in chief. And what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think he's a good guy and a good editor, and if they're going to have somebody in the job, and they probably should, he's a fine choice.
I agree.
If the bureaucracy lets him do what he does best, what he knows best. And I doubt that, given the rest of the change. They are being moved to under Disney's thumb. Disney is the company that is the least liked by its employees in the media fields. It is just about the cheapest. I mean, these days, perhaps there are cheaper. I was offered a job once with a Disney magazine, and I asked them why they were located in Massachusetts, where they were. And they said, well, it's a beautiful town, which is true. And we have a really nice place, which is true. Which was true, and because it's 3,000 miles away from Burbank, well, which is also true. This was the publisher telling me this, and it fits everything else I've ever heard about Disney. I mean, I work for Disney companies and I worked with Disney, but the Disney companies I worked for weren't really Disney when I was working for them, sure. in broadcasting.
Right. I am my opinions on this are twofold. One, I am hopeful and somewhat excited about the editorial change. I I have been nothing but a fan of Stephen Wacker's work as an editor. I pretty much have always enjoyed seeing his name in the editorial caption or whatever it is, credits. So that's great. I think Marvel was ready for a change in executive leadership. I feel like they've been getting stale and a little. They need. I felt like it was time for the change. Which
Yeah, I by and large agree with that. I don't think they've found their space with the way the movies and TV shows are being handled, and that's hard. It's hard not to be pulled left and right by those winds. So I'm sympathetic towards them, but nonetheless, I think their books have gotten just a bit more flat than they've been before.
I agree with that. I hope that there's some good things that come out of that. But also, I am concerned for friends who now have, DC has done this. DC laid the groundwork, and they said, here, everybody, why don't you come out to Burbank and start a whole new life in California, and we'll have great DC Comics histories for the rest of forever. And within 3 years, half of them were gone.
More than half, I think.
Yeah. So
more than half.
We have many friends who made that trip, only to be laid off. Several of them have been on the show, and so I don't. It doesn't bode well for the future for those folks, and that's very, very concerning.
Well, keep in mind that every one of those replaced DC employees was replaced by somebody who was far less expensive,
right?
In terms
of course,
of salary.
Of course.
It's the American way. So to see, I mean, Disney will certainly do that. My God, I can't. Don't sell if you got a rent controlled apartment in New York, don't give it up.
Right.
However, let me point out, we have had change in either location or management. And in these cases, location requires a change in management from DC and from Marvel and from Boom and from Dark Horse. Who am I missing? I'm probably leaving out a couple, but IDW sort of.
Yeah, and Mad Cave had a bunch of cost-cutting moves this year, right, in the past year.
Right. So we're in for.
Oni has gone through hands. Valiant doesn't exist anymore.
Well, yeah. I mean, Valiant is owned by Alien Books, which I find more interesting than the Valiant books right now. Nonetheless, the comics business has always been in this type of turmoil when there was competition. We didn't see as much of this turmoil when we only had, 3 or 4 viable publishers. Now we have 20 or 30. And some are very strong, really good, fairly well financed, and ready to challenge the market. And we're going to see a lot of the type of upheavals we'd seen in the 40s and 50s when there was all of that marketplace, but yet the beginnings of a diminishing market. When the market gets smaller, the owners freak out.
Yep. Well, we're going to have to deal with this. Hopefully, as I said, this is big news. We are hopeful for positive to come out of it. Like I said, they waited until the week before San Diego Comic-Con to announce this, so I'm sure that there's plenty of stuff that's going to get arranged there. They do a pretty good job of planning this stuff out in certain ways. I feel like this was not news, especially the people at the top.
I think that's probably true. Certainly the people at the top, because these changes don't happen overnight. But I think there's another reason why the announcement happened right now, right before San Diego. And that's because if the announcement wasn't announced, it would leak at San Diego.
Sure.
And they wanted to get ahead of that.
Sure.
And that motivates so many of our so-called news stories.
You're
I'm
100%
serious.
true. There was a bunch. So another Disney company, ESPN, has laid off tons of people, or some on-air talent in the past couple of days. Some while on air, so that they wouldn't get leaked. They wouldn't find out from a leak in the media.
Yeah, I never got fired on the air. I resent that. Well, I'd have to go into broadcasting, and I can't find it. Maybe I need new glasses, but I just can't find broadcasting anymore.
Sure, that's fair.
But yes, I mean ESPN, which is owned by Disney, big operation, much more competition than they used to have.
Well, no, actually, the reason you're 100% right about this, but this is why the justification that they've given is that the reason that they did this is because they just bought the NFL Network from the NFL, and so the consolidation decided that they had too many people and they had to cut it down. So it's not it's because they went out and spent money, and then they don't want to spend money.
In all my years of being around the various media businesses, which has been a very, very long time, I have never not once, seen companies consolidating and then immediately hiring more people. Quite the opposite.
Sure.
It's like gravity. Honest to God, gravity really is just a theory. We don't know how gravity truly works, but we can count on that, and firings is gravity.
That's fair. We're gonna bring our guest in now. He's been waiting patiently, and I'm excited to have him on. Eliot is a friend of mine. I am a huge fan of his work. He is one of the most, in my mind, underappreciated comic writers out there. He constantly, if there's a book that he's writing, I am reading it and I'm enjoying it, and I'm sad when it ends because I want more all the time. And so he's going to talk about his latest book, Crimes Against Nature. And so welcome to the show for the first time, Eliot Rahal. Hang on. Hey, Eliot. I added you to say. There you are.
There you are.
Hey, man. How are you?
That was so cool. You got them all in there.
I got most of them.
Thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun to listen in, and I certainly appreciate the kind words, Bob. You're my
absolutely
friend.
Nice to meet you, Eliot.
Nice to meet you, Mike. Thanks for having me on. Really appreciate it.
You've been reading quite a bit of this stuff over the past few years. He's done most of the Madam Satan stuff, which I'm sure you're a fan of.
I've read quite a bit of your work, but yeah, I really like Madam Satan, and I'm not sure why, but I've enjoyed what Archie has been doing in terms of developing that line. I don't know if they'll continue, but it would be nice. Yeah, I know.
I just work here, Jack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm glad you had fun. I had a lot of fun working on those books, and that's just and it's such a fun character, to and really kind of grappling with anti-hero, like Madam Satan, for those not familiar, is a rogue villain or an anti-hero, depending on what angle you sort of come at her with. And anti-heroes are really interesting because I feel like everyone's got a really bad definition of them, myself included.
That's true. It's a contradictory word, an anti-hero.
Right. Yeah. It's the classic debate, who is the Punisher an anti-hero or is he a villain, right? And I personally fall on the side of villain. Just because he's a villain you doesn't mean he's not a villain.
Sure.
And to me, an anti-hero, and I don't know if this is right or not, but an anti-hero is somebody who does the right thing for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not bad. I mean, the trick to being a hero is to know right from wrong.
Exactly.
The trick to being a villain is to also know right from wrong.
Right.
But you make the opposite decision. Now,
right.
if you've been wronged and the Punisher has been horribly wronged, there's no question about that. Does that justify him doing what he's been doing?
The answer is no.
I see that, and I agree with that.
Yeah, if we're looking at it as not in comic book world, the answer is absolutely no. Get this man away from children. Yeah, I mean,
with the true Midwestern style and theology,
right? Han Solo is a good classic example. Han Solo aids the rebellion, right? But he doesn't do it because he's a believer in the rebellion, right? He does it because he wants to get paid. He only becomes a hero at the end of the first movie, right?
Right.
Sure.
Right. That was worked out better in Spaceballs, actually. That conflict was more logical in Spaceballs.
It's been a million years since I've seen Spaceballs. I gotta watch Spaceballs 2 if that's even out yet. I don't know.
It's not out. It's still far away. Far away.
It's next year.
I fear I'm very irrelevant for this podcast because I have small children right now, and the idea of me being up to date on pop culture is I can tell you a lot about Bluey, but
how old are your kids?
They're 4 and 1.5. Well, 1.5 now. Yeah.
Okay, so the 4-year-old can reach the remote.
Yes, but it is controlled. Do our best.
Okay.
Okay. We're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, but I do want to get first to Crimes Against Nature. So
Thanks.
This is coming out from Image, and I'm going to read for our listeners. This is the solicit for issue 1. 2 best friends, a man and his ape against the world. A famous Hollywood animal trainer, Dr. Kermit Groden. Is that right? Groden?
Correct.
How you pronounce it? Okay.
That's how I wrote it. Yeah.
There's a lot of E's in this word.
I know. I realized the mistake I made later writing copy about it. Yeah.
Don't worry about it. All right. So Dr. Kermit Groden and his only client / best friend, Amigo the ape, the first gorilla ever nominated for an Academy Award, are framed for a crime they didn't commit. Now they're on the run, and to clear their names and save their lives, Kermit and Amigo will be forced to reveal the darkest secrets and confront each other's hidden past. Will their friendship be able to survive? A story about secrets, sins, and simians.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, I agonized over
I didn't
that.
write it. Somebody.
Thank you.
But that was the plot to the Wonder Man TV show, wasn't it?
I'm not gonna lie, I kind of missed that one.
Yeah, it was. I found it to be quite entertaining.
Where did this come from for you? And I want to also point out that Matteo Monaco,
I believe, yeah.
Monaco, you worked with on Knock 'em Dead, which is very arguably some of your finest work. But I love that
So,
series.
yeah, I really liked how it turned out as well, and I was proud.
So you guys reunite for this. How did you guys come up with this idea?
Well, these came up a couple of years ago, and the idea was born out of joking around with friends at C2E2, like I want to say 3 or 4 years ago, and I just it got in my head, and the idea was basically like, well, what if Coco the gorilla was actually bad, and and I don't know, it just got in my head, and I kept thinking about these characters like this. You guys talked about late night a lot, old Jack Hanna, or like this is Steve Irwin, kind of like Hollywood animal trainer kind of guy, and then Tiger King came out, and it all started sizzling in my head more, and this is like, what if both of these guys had a secret? Like, what if they were both con artists, and just in different ways? And Kermit is a con artist in the sense that yeah, he's running from something, but he's running from mostly bullshit. Like, he's a liar, and he has just lied his way to the top, but you kind of love him. And then Amigo has a much darker past that we're gonna reveal that he's been hiding from. And and then I found myself kind of desperate one day, and kind of feeling chaotic, and so I just wrote the best 2-sentence log line I could think of, and then the original title of the book was called Ape Shit, and I sent yeah, I know they wouldn't let me do it.
I will forever refer to you as Ape Shit from now on.
Yeah, and so I sent Eric Stevenson a log line, and he was like, sounds good. And then I was like, what? And and I had nothing behind it. And then I engaged Mattia for some stuff. And unfortunately, one thing led to another. And that was that was peak pandemic times. And I lived in Minneapolis, and a lot of stuff happened during that time. And so I just it just kind of fell away, because I wasn't 100% sure it was on, and I had to focus on what was on. And then I found myself recently, about a year ago, after a couple rough layoffs, I found myself just sending everything out, resumes, but also new comic ideas and stuff like that. And I sent Eric a thing, and he rejected it. And I was like, fuck. And then I was like, oh, but what about this old thing? Is that still cool? Because we were in conversation, and he was like, yeah, we're still good for that. And I was like, interesting. And then yeah, and then it's just been Mattia and it feels like we're sort of two pots and pans warriors against the sort of grain here. I was like, hey, do you have time to do this? And he was like, I do. And then we've just been we've just been off. And because I know that it doesn't seem like that quick of a turnaround, but I found out the news that we were still cool and still good to go with Crimes Against Nature, or Ape Shit, at that time, September of last year in 25.
That's a lot,
right? So
that is quick in the world of comics.
It's quick, and we have, Mattia's a genius. I don't know where this guy came from, but by the time it drops, we'll have easily 4 issues done. And so my anxiety about it being quick was I just had a lot of anxiety in general. And so, but it yeah. Yeah. So, but it's crazy.
Let's talk about Mattia for a second, because I really feel like you guys work really well together. You are a good voice for his art and his art is a good, canvas for your words. It just feels like that works together. I mean, in the past, and with this book, I've read issue 1, folks. I can't wait for issue 2. Let's put it that way.
You read it. Good. I'm glad you
did.
read it. Thank you so much, Bob. I really appreciate that. And Mike, you're welcome to read it too. I'm not sure. No pressure that you haven't. I'm just saying.
No. I would like to read it, but I'm afraid I'll get hungry for bananas.
Well, that is a big key plot point.
It's a good plot point.
We don't even have any real bananas anymore. So
I know. I'm familiar with the story, or at least the bananas that we have. At least,
yeah, they're like third generation from the real thing. You live in Minneapolis.
I do, yes.
And you grew up there, or?
No, I'm from Illinois. Sadly,
where? So am I. Where?
I'm from the western suburbs. Yeah, southwestern suburbs of Chicago. Or like Kinsdale, Cleveland Hills, like Naperville, Elmhurst area, like the whole southwest side.
Yeah. Elmhurst has some of the best Italian beef in the world. So I will not knock the area. I love Minneapolis.
I will, because it took me forever to admit that I was from there.
I get that. I totally get that. The pressure to just say you're a Chicagoan is so strong.
Well, I'm not. I mean, I did live in the city for many years, but and I loved it. But now, no, my home is firmly in Minneapolis, the free city of Minneapolis. Yes.
It is a wonderful city. Now, I've loved Minneapolis for decades, but these days, I'm actually very proud of Minneapolis, and I'm proud to be in the same country that Minneapolis is in.
Yeah, that was. It continues to be. I mean, yeah. There's a lot to say about that. Yeah. There's a lot to say about that. A lot of stuff, and I don't want to I did my bit, but I don't want to there were people who did more.
All you can do is all you can do. People have lives, and they have jobs, and if you of course you make sacrifices. We make sacrifices for everything, but you can't make sacrifices for 100% of what you want to.
Right,
because then
crazy. I mean, you just couldn't escape it. To be perfectly honest with you, you just could not. It's I still have my Signal app, but I haven't opened it in months because I can't do it right now. But they would stage around our neighborhood and all that stuff, and you couldn't walk out of your house, and the 6-month baby with me, and I'm fucking running to the sidewalk to go help some poor guy who's getting taken away. I mean, I don't know. You just do we did what we could, and it's interesting.
Well,
listening to you talk about broadcasting earlier. My wife is a local journalist, so it's an interesting conversation. So yeah, it just lived heavy. That's all. But I mean, I got closer to my community as a result, and
and that's a great thing.
This book will afford the therapy I need to go through the trauma of it all. Yeah.
Listen, this book is it is not clean. It is messy, and I don't mean that in the production. I'm saying the characters, all the characters that you run across, there's a lot of messy, a lot of there are no Captain Americas and sharp edges and clean lines.
Yeah. And I think inadvertently that's I think inadvertently that's ultimately what this is become about. We are in this weird interregnum right now, right? And I think this book is I think manifesting energy about what we do with complicated people. You know what I mean? People that we love, or people that we've known who like aren't like good, but we like love them, like, you know. And like, I'm not saying like forgive like unforgivable sins or whatever you want to define there. I'm just talking about like people are fucking messy, right? And like, you know, and like it's kind of like dealing with like those relationships that you have in your own life that are like very messy between friends. And except this is about a man and a gorilla, like, you know, instead of like two human friends, you know, which I think is making it more powerful, which is so much fun. I'm really excited to, like, you know, I don't know, it's fun. It's been a challenge.
Did you read or see Midsummer Night's Dream?
I mean, many years ago, I read it and stuff. Yeah, like
the movie is better, but it's a story. It's a wonderful story. It's a romantic story about rich people and poor people and actors and donkeys and fairies. I mean that in the sense, in the classic sense.
Of course.
And they all get together and they do this story. And it's lasted for 500 years. An 11-year-old Mickey Rooney starred in the movie, for crying out loud. And it holds up. Reality is not what we see on the street. Reality for storytelling is what we accept in our heart. And the writer's job, more than anybody else's, is to figure out a way to make it get into your heart.
Right. And having a big gorilla, I think, is really helpful in doing that, weirdly enough, you know? Especially with Mattia's art, which is so expressive.
I mean, I'm looking at the last page, and there's a big gorilla on this page, and it is gorgeous. Yeah, it is gorgeous, and I'm in the room with him. You know, it's like the light is getting brighter, and I get closer in the room. It's just beautiful, and what you're talking about is how. It's one of the most amazing things about comic book storytelling is that we can tell this is a story about some guy and who's a trainer and his gorilla, and there's a murder, and we can talk about all that very at the glass level. This is what it is, but underneath there's a lot more there, and that's what makes comics special, is that you can all of those allegories and all of those metaphors that we're talking about with humanity and people and relationships, they're all in there, and you're able to explore that through the guise of a giant gorilla.
Right.
Of course.
Right. And like, I wanted like, in like the challenge of like, you know, with Kermit, the Dr. Kermit, you know, like at first the log line for this movie, I had to change the log line because I realized like not enough people have seen Midnight Run. But like,
listen, that statement is 100% true. And it doesn't matter if everyone has seen it, it's still 100% true.
Right. Yes. And so it's like, but it's like very, like, that's why I named him Grodin, like Kermit Grodin was Charles Grodin. And like, and it's just like this idea of like, I wanted to create a really just like despicable like main character, like somebody who like is awful, and like the only reason you like him really is like, yeah, he's ridiculous, but like he sticks up for his friend, like, you know, like you don't maybe necessarily agree with how he does it, but like there is this like weird loyalty of him, and like that's, I think, an endearing quality that like allows the reader to forgive quite a lot. But at the same time, he is like insane looking, and like Mattia's work is nuts. And you're talking about working with Mattia, like I am meeting a totally different Mattia Monaco this time around, right? Like, sure. Like I did Knock 'Em Dead and Aftershock and Knock 'Em Dead is a book about a stand-up comedian who gets into a stand-up comedian who wants to be a stand-up comedian, sucks at it, and gets into a terrible accident, which leaves him with the power to get possessed by the famous dead, right? And like, so it's about like art theft and like a predatory relationship between a sibling and him, and like Matteo's work was very expressive in that and very good and very like otherworldly. And I just love it to this day. But at the same time, I feel like he did have like handcuffs on, like in a way. And I think maybe he might have been a little more reluctant to unleash himself because it was his like, I think first, like one of his first American comics books. And so, but like there was this broker. Aftershock acted more as like a broker almost between the art and the book, and like the relationship I have formed, it's just him and me, right? And it's like he's just going for it, right? And so he's adding this absurd level of detail, and I'm trying to match it, and like play off of it and say yes to it. So like, an example is that cat you see like in issue 1. That cat was a Mattia invention, and I took that cat and started putting it in issues 2 and 3, and it becomes like there's a moment in it like I'm really excited about, like I'm really excited about. So that's like a pretty big basic example of like the kind of collaboration what we're doing here. And if he does something that I don't necessarily agree with, I'm like, that doesn't mean I say no. It's like, let's just talk about this and like, what could we take from this that we both like and works right now, right? Because like I don't want to like ever insult the guy by like saying no to him. You know what I mean? Because like I think he's just been an incredible partner on this book.
Where is he from?
Italy.
I
don't know where.
Like again,
you'll find him.
I hope so.
I'm glad you were able to steal him back from Brian Bucoletto, because after he left you, he did Chicken Devils and Eat Your Young with them, and I think that you and him do a great job together. I'm very excited for more of this. You talked about the talking to Eric Stevenson, and I kind of, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk a little bit about the journey of a creator-owned writer, someone as yourself, who is coming up with new ideas and taking them and finding places, to finding publishers. How is that process for you? How has it evolved for you? You've done work for creator-owned stuff for Vault. You've done creator-owned stuff for Aftershock when it was a thing. Mad Cave, Image, Oni. How does that work for you? Do you have anything to say about it? Because you're looking at me like I have no idea how I'm getting this.
I mean, no, like I don't want to sound like trite or negative or ungrateful, right? Like, but I feel like my career has been like a giant pit of quicksand, and then there are like rocks that you jump on, right? And then like you got to jump off that rock before it sinks right into the ground. And like I feel like I've never had like my feet under me anywhere as a creator, and like I feel like I've like or another metaphor is like I feel like I'm about to land the plane, but like both of the wings are on fire at all times, like and like and I'm just like screaming. Like I mean, it's a very interpersonal business, like it's a lot of client relations and like getting to know people, but also like proving that you can produce and like making sure you can meet some deadline or some version of quality that allows you to keep using your name at the well, as currency, like whatever it means to people. And then like also it's like they need books too, so there's also that element of like publishers, especially these publishers that are working on startup capital money, like they need to release books in order for it to be considered growth. So there's a need from them there, even though they don't want to ever like truly admit that. But there is the need. I mean, like that doesn't necessarily mean you get to write those books. Like you have to fight within that space. And then like, I don't know, like I'm not gonna be. I'll be honest with you. I feel like I've been ready to walk away and quit comics forever, just out of like sheer desperation and panic, and as like especially as like a young father, and like needing to make more money. Or I've had plenty of day jobs. I feel like my career has been very chaotic and up and down, and like I've just always tried to do the best I can, pitch as many ideas that I'm passionate about as I can, and like or that I think are good, and then give it my best shot. And then maybe some of those ideas shouldn't have turned into books, but you gotta, I don't know, I don't want to say you got to do anything. Like that's what I did. I just kept hammering. And then also like I was lucky to keep hammering, and like I mean I've been working odd jobs all over, and like I don't know. And then like I mean this past year it's been hard. Like I lost a couple jobs, and like not just comics jobs, and like then I lost a couple comics jobs, and then everything that was going on, and like I was like sending out my resume everywhere, and then all of a sudden this stuff comes along.
Being a freelancer, I'm sorry.
No, it just sucks. I mean, it's just like now, like all of a sudden, and I can't tell you more about it, but all of a sudden, in the matter of 2 months, now that this book is out, now it feels real. All of a sudden, my career, which I thought I was done in a way, like in the sense of like, oh, I've become irrelevant, and like I'm just like a scrub. Like all of a sudden the tables have totally turned, and like that doesn't mean anything in terms of like actual like, oh, I'm gonna be hot shit. I just mean in terms of like my perception of like myself in that story, right? Like a feeling of like, oh wait, like all of a sudden like I just got another gig on top of like Crimes Against Nature. It's like, oh, all of a sudden like something's happening right now, and like I wasn't expecting that, and I still don't feel good about anything.
Well, you never do. I mean, listen,
being a freelancer seems like it should be the most insecure job one could ever take, and it sort of is, except for the fact that these days people who have regular jobs feel the exact same way. The nice thing about being a freelancer, if you've got at all any talent or gumption, is that you can pivot. Right. You can turn to another direction.
I have said this to myself in a lot more like even grateful terms of that, even in my hardest moments, because of what you guys were talking about earlier. Like a lot of my friends have been laid off, like and like I'm 38, like I realize that's young, but like a lot of these guys and people and like they've been working straight jobs, like good straight jobs for their entire adult lives, and they're not used to this kind of insecurity, whereas I am totally accustomed to
No, I know exactly how you feel, because that ran through my mind about 20 years ago. Yeah. So I totally get that. I have a brother-in-law who retired and then died, but really nice guy. And he worked, when he got out of college, he got a job as an engineer with Michigan Bell. And that evolved into, 5, 6 different companies. They wound up spinning him off as an independent, and he worked exclusively for them and made more money. I mean, not to say he was rich, but he worked for one company all his life.
Right.
And I can't conceive of working for one company and only one company.
Being a company man
for a week. I've been a company man from time to time. I suck at it. I hate bureaucracy, so I should never be doing this. Sometimes they'll wave some nice green stuff in front of you. That's okay. You got to do that once in a while.
I understand you, Mike. I truly do. And I'm with you most of the time, especially when I'm feeling good. But like, then there are those low moments where you're like,
absolutely.
God, I would just love to not have to worry about this, and I will give you my all, and I will, and I've tried to, but part of the reason why I'm in this position is I had to keep going in comics because I thought I had fucked myself by having a career in can't get I felt like I couldn't get a job. You know what I mean? Even if
because you had a career in comics.
Yeah, none of my resume is so, I guess, unusual, especially where I like in the Midwest, to where it's I'm like, none of these skills are translating, and but I'm like a copywriter. I've done all this stuff. I'm a product manager, and I'm like, I don't. And they're like, who are you? What are you? Comic books? They still make comics.
But that's the same feeling that most people who are trying to negotiate or navigate their way around the workforce feel. You feel that way from time to time, I think, for one really good reason. You feel bad for one good reason. You've got kids.
Right, yeah.
And you've got that responsibility. I mean, you got responsibility to your wife, to your family, and all that. That's absolutely true. But it's nothing like having kids.
No.
And that changes everything.
Right.
And you have to show them.
You don't want to be starving artists in front of your kids. You don't want to have them see that agony. And it's not even about the money, right? Plenty of loving parents who don't have any money out there. Of course, you want to provide them materially with everything you can, but the real thing is seeing your kids I'm not saying weakness or vulnerability, but that level of instability in your own mind. You know what I mean? You don't want your kids to see that and working on it, whatever. They'll be fine. You
want to show them that their lives are safe.
Correct.
And that they don't have to worry about the stuff that you can't help but worry about. And you know what? That's the way it is. That's great. Because slowly but surely they will age and they will accept some of those responsibilities. They will find themselves accepting those responsibilities, even if it's just turning in your term paper or what have you.
Right.
You accept those responsibilities, and the day after you pay your first electric bill is the day you start to grow up.
I know. I think after my wife, that's all I can say.
I want to say this about you saw the intro that I made for you, right?
Yeah, it's finished.
That's a shitload of stuff you've done, and it's all good, and you've done it, so you can do it, right?
Yes.
So don't don't try not to get to those low points. Is what I'm trying to say.
It's just I mean,
I understand where they come from. I've been there. I get that.
Yeah, and
I want to talk about it.
I didn't mean to turn this into this. It is.
No, it's
fine. Feeling good. I am feeling good. I'm worried about a lot, but I am, and I know that you've always been a guy, Bob. Sorry.
You are one of my most neurotic friends that I love very much. So this is totally understandable.
I'm learning as I grow older that I present as a normal person with a crazy person underneath. So
fair enough.
Yeah.
I want to talk about though the fact of what we can't get away from, and what you can't get away from, is the fact that you're a writer, and that's what that underneath that crazy person is a writer, and there's no way to get away from that. Why is that?
It's a good point.
I think I don't know how to be anybody else, right?
Right.
Like, and
I know
like,
that.
yeah, and like, so like, I think no matter what, I would be doing something. I think I could do like a day job and like do it, but I would still be cooking something in my basement, like a potion in the basement. You know what I mean? Like, I do think that for some, and I don't mean it as some sort of like noble characteristic, or something like that. I just think with some people, like, you got to get something out. Like, there's something inside of you, and it's got to come out somewhere. And like, that's always been the kind of person I am, right? Like, and like, and I think no matter what the structure of my life would look like, that would exist in some capacity. And I've just been fortunate enough to be able to take this path in my life,
60 years ago, Stan Lee said anybody can write comic books. Stan was wrong about that, and we've seen the proof of that. But people who can write, and I'm talking about writing anything, confound people who cannot. That doesn't make us better or worse. It's just these skill sets. If your body, if your brain is telling you to be a writer, that's who you're supposed to be.
Yeah. Trust me. I mean, and I say this like in a sort of like not self-deprecating or whatever, or like self-denial, but like I would much rather have loved something else, like learning how like I think I would love to like learn how to like put together an AC unit and like be of service to my like or like learn how to like how cars work or like how to camp, but it's like I'm not good at that stuff. And I would like to learn, but I'm like really good at sitting in my basement and like staring at a wall and like like coming up with something really fun, and that I do get pleasure out of. Yeah.
You found yourself, and a lot of people never really do. They're not allowed that opportunity. Once you found yourself, be true to yourself.
Right.
Be true to yourself even before you found yourself, if you can figure out how to do that.
All the way back to Shakespeare, man, to thy own self be true, right?
That's right. There you go. There you go.
Hi, Bob.
This topic, kind of intrigues me because I wanted to even put a further point on it. You've done a lot of work that's work for hire that's not yours, right? You're skilled at writing other people's stories as well.
I try to be. Yes,
you are. No, absolutely. There's plenty of stuff that you've done that you are the. I just give an example. So, like the Basic Witch, right? That you are not headline on that book. That is as Emily Hampshire's book. I'm nothing. She is great. But you're able to go ahead and take that, work with her, and come up with a skill because she's not a comic book writer, and get there and put that together with it. Great artist. I'm a big fan of Kristen as well. But then, and you've done other things where you work for Valiant, where it's somebody else's character and stuff like that. But then you come back to things where you attack something like Crimes Against Nature, or Don't Forget Your Briefcase, or where you're trying to tell a story that's your own, that you have an idea that you want to express to people, and you get together with a collaborator and you develop this story. And that's the thing, that you're a storyteller.
Yes.
And in all the good ways as well.
Thank you. Are you asking?
I'm saying why is it? How do those muscles work for you differently.
Well, I will say, like, with a license, there's a degree of like, I like writing licenses because there are rules, right? And like I am like anti like in my like heart of hearts, I'm like an anarchist, right? Like and like but like I believe in like no hierarchy and flat systems, right? And like but like it is nice to have boundaries, like and like no, you can't do that. No, you can't do this, like and it's like having somebody steer you, like even if it's a nudge, like even if it's the most gentle touch in the world, for like there's still like infinity inside a box, right? And it's nice to have a box sometimes, right? And so it's like, okay, I'm gonna figure out the most I can do within this system, which I would argue is the spirit of anarchy, right?
Sure.
And like whereas with your creator own stuff, like to be quite frank, a lot of times I feel like I'm like riding the lightning on it. I'm like I have no idea what the fuck they said. Yes, here we go. Like and I wish it wasn't that. Like, but a lot of the times it's like I've got this premise, I've got the beginning, and I know the end. Like I know like how I want this to resolve at the very minimum. But like A to Z, here we go,
That tension that you feel is what is a force for good. And quite frankly, it is your force for greatness. Let that insecurity push you into writing better or more honestly, perhaps, how you define honesty, not how I do. Because really, truth is the center of all stories. Verisimilitude is critical in our business because it's a visual medium.
Right.
When I worked with Denny O'Neil on The Question, of which Denny was very proud, Dennis Cowan still is, and so am I.
He's one of my goats.
Yeah, it's
and the Question is such a fascinating character. Yeah,
it was a wonderful thing to work on for 3-4 years. And Denny and I, luckily, we shared an office for those 3 years. It's a large office. It was the only one that had a couch. And he and I would sit on that couch and plot out the next issue of The Question or the next story if it was an arc. And Denny, who I would work any way he wanted to work. I mean, a good editor would do that. But it's Denny O'Neil, for crying out loud. He can work any way he wants to.
Yeah.
We would agree or discuss the overall story, and then we would find a beginning, a middle, and an end. All three of which were subject to change in progress, but we would find a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it would take us 2 hours about from beginning to end to do all that. And then Denny would go off to his apartment in Greenwich Village and smoke a cigar until he had a heart attack and walk around the neighborhood, come back and write me a script that you've read. You've read those scrips.
I've read most of the run of that comic, but I haven't read the script.
Well, it's there.
Yeah,
it's how he works, how I would adjust to his stuff, which is part of my job, so that's not a problem. And when you say you work out the beginning and the end of the story, that makes perfect sense to me. I'm just pointing out Denny also used a middle.
Yes,
and the middle could change.
That's why I was. Yes, I would like more. Yeah, that's why I was like bemoaning my own process, is because I'm like, this needs to improve a little bit better. Because I mean, but something I always try to be cognizant of is like with writing, like I'm not gonna say I'm like the most well-read guy in the world, right? And I'm not gonna in terms of comics or anything, right? But like I started writing for myself by doing stand-up comedy, and the chops of stand-up comedy, like timing and pacing, and then like learning those things, like a lot of the times it's like, okay, like the ground needs to shift now, right? You know what I mean?
Right.
Something needs to change. Like you learn, like you think like empathically as a reader, as an audience member. It's like, okay, like you really have to engage with yourself in the material in terms of like something needs to happen now. And like I am lucky that I have that skill, which is a skill I recognize. However, I fear sometimes I rely too heavily on it. And so like I would like a bit more of a structure. And I do try to write a whole thing like before. It's not like I don't do it. It's just like sometimes I feel like people come in with everything done already. And like I don't have, and sometimes I feel like I'm building the machine on the way. And like, but I do write like a full breakdown, but it's like I have found that sometimes that the Eliot I am in that moment when I write that full breakdown changes. And like, especially after the first issue, and I'm like, I wrote this journey 10,000 feet ago, and now I'm down the mountain, and there's like a different trail, and there's also like a pit over here that I didn't see before, and like, oh, there's a cave in over here, didn't see that happening. There's the bridge made of rope that's about to fall down, like like you don't. There are just things that like you don't expect, and then like and then like the thing you want to do is like try not to telegraph everything. I don't know. I look into it way too much sometimes, and like
that process is what brings out the good stuff in you, and that's never an easy process, because you're digging into some deep nooks and crannies, and you might be revealing some truths that you hadn't realized you were believing, but it's all a growth experience. It makes you a better writer because it makes you a better communicator. You did stand up. When I got into broadcasting, and I did broadcasting, still kind of do. I got into improv training.
That makes sense.
Oh, it was how I learned, not just to think on my feet, which is great, but that's where I really learned timing. And timing is an infinitely personal experience.
Right. And presence. And like, like one of my, like the things I like, being on stage helps you learn presence, like command of the medium, and like, so but like another thing it does with timing, it's like, I don't know if you, like some of those old, like Silver Age books, especially, it's just so beautiful. But like the pacing of a page, right? Like just like and like agonize, like if you read issue 1, like it's not like as perfect as I'd like it to be, like, but like I got the ending I wanted. I wanted there to be more panels at the end, but I thought it was too many. And now I'm learning I probably could have done it because that's how good Mattia is. But like, I still think I made the right decision. But it's like you're really like focusing on like just like to doom, like you're like, and like whether or not like the people even know that you're doing that, like you're really like trying to slow them down, speed them up, like build the tension, like it's almost like a ride, I don't know.
The hardest part of life is dealing with the minutia that interferes with life.
Right.
It's the stuff that you're doing because you want to get back to doing what you want to be doing.
Right.
That's true as a writer. It's true as a comic. That's true as a plumber. Whatever you're doing, and I mean plumbing with respect because
right. No, it's the
Lord knows I can't do that.
No, it's always the world that's the problem, right? It's not, it's the world that gets in our way. Like, people ask me,
that's right.
What's the hardest part about child parenting? I'm like, it's not the kids, it's the world, like the world that we've created for ourselves. Like, where I have to be like, where I feel like I don't have time to raise my kids because I have to work in order to make sure they don't die. Like,
I get that because my dad literally worked 6.5 days a week. He worked 6 days and a 7th day every other week. Rarely saw him, got home late, but when I did, it was sort of, we tried to make it a quality time.
Yeah.
The problem with raising children, and there's a lot of difficulties there. But one problem is you're trying to prepare your child for the world, right. And you have to prepare your child for the world that they are growing into, and you can't see that coming. Oddly enough, sometimes they can, and you got to pay attention. Right. Sometimes they can see it coming.
Yeah, that's a whole different podcast.
Fair, totally fair.
I want to come back to Crimes Against Nature. It's coming out in September. Are we on? You said you've gotten 3 or 4. It's on schedule.
But like Mattia, like we're making some changes as we go because of, again, the collaborative effort. Like he did something cool, and I'm like, is it possible to go back? And he was like, of course. And so like now we're like kind of saddling 3 and 4. So like I would say 3 issues of work is done. It's spread out over 3 and 4, but like, it's I'm pleased with where we're at in the production.
And I wanted to come back to something you said earlier, because you talked a bit about how you kind of ride the lightning to get from point to point, but you said earlier that you got a green light in September, and you were at ground zero there, and you're 3 issues into this already ready to go out the door. From that's quite a bit of work on something like this. I think you've really been able to.
It's just the only opportunity I had. I felt desperate. Like, so I was like, the only thing you can do is like work your way out. Like, whether it's with a day job or like this opportunity that might not pay off for another year, and like, I am lucky. My wife has a stable job. Like, and so I can like stay at home and raise the kids. And like, I wake up at an ungodly hour to work. I wake up at, on a good day, I wake up at like 4:30 or 5. And I work until my kids get up. And then
that's when I get to sleep.
Yeah, I know. I'm not a night owl.
When you get older, it goes weird. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's just this. I've had to learn how to do this. It's just the chapter of my life, right? Like, so like, and that's fine. And then like my wife has an irregular schedule being a journalist, so like, there'll be days where like she's like, okay, I'm gonna take the kids and you go at it for 6-8 hours or whatever. So like, we make it work, but I'm really lucky for it. So yeah, especially.
Hey, it's your life, and you're doing good shit. And if you're making ends meet, that's it. Yeah. That's it. Everything else.
You caught me in a reflective thinking about how grateful I am. Like blah 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 blah. How would I act like real mean and like no?
What are you hoping that people will see in Crimes Against Nature?
I hope people see all of like the love that has come from this book. I want people to read it and feel like it was like a really joyful thing and like really fun and like engaging, and like I want to people feel complete, and I want it to sell very well, obviously, because how we make our money. And I would like. Let's be honest with ourselves. You don't get into comics, especially in the past 25 years. I would say, especially in the past 20 years, you don't get into the business not to want to do an image book, right? Like, I mean, that's not a goal in mind, and that means something. Whether that meaning is true or not, or whether that relevance is true or not, or whether the money is there or not, like. That power it still holds as a cultural force in the industry. I would argue still exists and still has.
I think that's fair, and it's a good book. We've talked a lot about you and Mattia. It's not in the solicit, so I don't have it. Who did the colors and the letters in this book?
Mattia.
He did the letters.
He did everything except for the designer.
Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Manuel, I mean, he's a genius. I mean, I keep telling him, like, take me with you because when this comes out, I hope he gets what he deserves from this.
A couple of days ago, we hit the anniversary of Jim Apato's birth. Jim every day used to take a blank sheet, a blank board, and the script. And by the end of the day, that page was completely penciled, completely inked, and lettered. He didn't color it.
I mean, that's an incredible work in one day, though.
Yeah, and then at the end of 28 days, he'd have a book, or at the end of 24 days or 22 days, right? He'd have a book. And if it was a 22-page script, then the editor had to make damn sure that he had another script for the next day. But he did that for years and years, and just about every page was masterful.
Right.
Just masterful. It can be done.
I know, and you're in awe of it too. It's like watching an expert. Yes. It's like watching an expert smelter make a sword right in front of you or something. Like, how the fuck did you just do that? Like, it's like this process, I will say, has made me I mean, I've loved every past creator I've ever had, but I don't know, something about this moment, this being a goal achieved, I don't know, it feels special for me. So, I mean, I just hope
it is special.
Reward it. Yeah, thank you.
Like I said,
it is special, and just wait, because in about 10 years, your older child is going to be old enough to appreciate what you do, and that is a really cool feeling.
Yeah.
So, it's September. What is the day on this? I don't have the
September 23rd.
September 23rd,
coinciding. I'll be at SuperCon that weekend.
I'm nice.
A Mr. Magoo.
SuperCon, as in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Love that name.
Really?
Yeah.
South Dakota.
Yeah, Sioux. Like
it is
Sioux
one of the best. It's one of the best. One of the best regional shows, and we're going to do a special announcement.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's all volunteer run. It's great show.
Let me tell you, there are only 2 states I haven't been to. One is Hawaii, the other is North Dakota.
Well, this is South Dakota. I've been to North Dakota many times for all our shows in Fargo. It's my
yeah, but you're closer.
Oh yeah, I can drive there. It is far, but yeah. And then I am a bit of a Mr. Magoo, so I forgot to apply for a New York Comic Con table, but I applied late, so hopefully I'm gonna be in New York no matter what.
I will see you that. I will see you then.
Just like a place to sit down, which is primarily the reason.
I'll be pretty much doing that too.
Yeah,
looking for a
bring a lawn chair.
Right. I've been tempted to. That, I mean, honestly, part of the reason the table at that show is because like I don't want to. I just want somewhere like I will gladly pay $300 to sit somewhere. For this.
I get that.
A lot of times as I'm walking around, friends will say, "Come sit down."
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
I just see you walking.
Yeah, because you're always hoofing it, and then you've got bags of whatever, God knows, you got like 20 fucking bags on you. But like, yeah, it's always a fun show. But I will say, going back something to this might be, unless I strike it rich, I'm not saying I won't, but this might be my last New York Comic Con for a while because I'm gonna shift permanently to San Diego now. And I have avoided San Diego Comic Con like the plague because it gives me an anxiety attack.
Me too.
I much prefer New York Comic Con. But if Marvel is not going to be at New York, like, I'm not saying never say die, but I'm saying like if the culture of like where you meet people and where you go and where you know where to go,
This will be a big. If
that disappears, like there's no point in me going anymore. Like in the sense of like I can only afford to do one Reed Pop show a year, so like I got to make that count, right? Yeah, and so like I mean it's expensive, so it's either San Diego or New York. The other options used to be more viable. C2E2 and Emerald City used to have like be perfect, but the industry presence isn't what it used to be there, so it's going to be interesting.
Well, we'll find out this year a little bit, and more likely next year once the transition's done.
Well, if Marvel doesn't show up in New York and then they feel or they see a loss somewhere, they will reconsider it, and they've gone through that, as has DC, from time to time lately. You just change hands. You want to cut back expenses.
DC's back at New York Comic Con now. So
yes, I know.
I mean, it's a thing. Like at shows, DC over the past few years has been very visible there as well as Marvel. I mean, and when I say, I don't necessarily mean on the floor. I mean in the social aspects of the show,
in the ways that matter, and I do think that is on the floor and off the floor, right? Like, but we'll see. I mean, I'm not like saying that it'll go away, but I'm already anticipating like if I have to choose, I might have to change.
Sure. It's part of the life that you're leading. It's part of the role of a freelance comic book writer, and that's kind of what we talk about here on the show. Like we've touched on a lot of those pieces, the success, the anxiety, the failure, all of those things that go into being this life that you're leading, as well as being a husband and father, and it's a lot. And you're doing it great, and I am so excited for people to be able to see this book. And
let me make one quick comment.
Yeah, go ahead.
The freelancer's lifestyle, which is the choice, is it? Yeah, it is. It is. It starts with the phrase, "I can't take this shit anymore." Yeah. It goes on from there. It's a life of thin ice, but it's your thin ice,
right?
What we do from day to day is make plans, and this isn't just for freelancers. You make your plans, and then you blow up what bridges when you need to, when you come to them. That's how life works for a freelancer.
Right. Or you make new ones,
Well, after you're blowing something up, you have to.
You're right. Or you like stretch your body over the like cavern, like
okay, Ralph Dibney.
Oh, E.L. O'Brien, please.
All right. We're gonna never mind. All right, Eliot, thank you so much for being here. This was fantastic. I so glad so. Oh yes.
It was. No, it's terrific. I really enjoyed our conversation.
And
I think from what I've read of your work, which is not insignificant, you have a hell of a future for you. You're not going to believe that until it's over. So enjoy what you can.
Yeah, and I'm trying to. So thanks, guys. And thanks, Bob, for being so receptive. I've been going like a maniac about this, so appreciate it.
No, absolutely. Anytime. And I'll see you in New York.
Peace, guys. Have a nice evening.
All right.
Peace
Thanks.
out. See you soon. All right.
We will be back in your eyes and ears next Tuesday. We're gonna probably recap the massive newses that are gonna come out of San Diego Comic-Con. We will have a guest.
That'll be all online by tomorrow. Everybody will advance announce.
No, there's more. There's more stuff. It'll take days and days. We're gonna have Bridget Cannell on the show next week. We're gonna talk about the things that she's working on. She's got some crowdfunding thing that's kind of cool that's going on. Plus, she's working on Lady Baltimore. She does that for the Hellboy stuff. She's a fun person to talk to, so I'm excited for that. And I think we might have a second show next week, so stay tuned. It's possible we may get Bob France on Thursday, and we'll be back at you soon enough. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe to Pop Culture Squad wherever you see it. We are Pop Culture Squad everywhere, and make sure you read more comics because they're good for you.
That's it. Thank you very much for sharing this time with us. We do appreciate it with all our hearts.
All right. Thanks. Take it easy, guys.
This has been a production of the Pop Culture Squad Network. PopCultureSquad.com. How do you nerd?